Cool. Everyone good to go?
Yep.
Good.
So this shouldn't be too long tonight. What do you call it? I think a lot of it is just new information, just to make sure that Doug and Donna hear it, and Joy's heard it because she's been present for a bunch of the stuff, and we've talked about it a lot. And we're just getting it on the record tonight, basically. And so I'm starting off with our agenda, typical agenda, review and approval of previous meeting minutes. I got those out a bit late this afternoon, but they're before our meeting, so they're on time. Does anybody have any comments or questions? It seemed pretty straightforward. Donna, you weren't at the last meeting, so maybe, I don't think you were, so that might just be catching you up, right?
No, I was there, wasn't I? No, I don't know. No, I guess I wasn't.
Yeah, I think there's something else going on, but
I was gonna say, that's 10 minutes ago. You think I'm gonna remember?
well, and I think
But I did
actually,
I'm with you on that.
I think since I've seen you, because you've been down twice, you know, so
Right.
you've been
And
there.
I read the minutes, so yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments, or are we ready to approve those?
I think we should approve them.
All right, everybody in? Yeah. All right, 100%. So when Kathy watches this video to do the next minutes, she can see that we all raised our hand. Okay, so that's good. Item number 2 is our front projection sign installation schedule. And so what I've been doing is I've been checking with Bob. At this point, I think it's just going to be on a Monday basis. Every Monday, I just sort of see where we're at for the week. So after our period ended with the approval, there was like a grace period where people could say something that went until like February 8th or something. And then we were eligible for our permit. So we've gotten our permit. We have the permit in hand. Materials have been ordered. And I think at this point, not only have they been ordered, they're in some form of fabrication at this point. And I'm not sure if it's at his shop or another shop, because he does it, he coordinates it all, but I think he has a certain shop that does the letters, something about a more expensive machine. He wants them to do it. Again, that's his business. That's how he does it. So I'm not here to micromanage his stuff. It's in between his and another shop, and everything's been ordered. Permits in hand, and I'll check with him on Monday, and we'll see. Hopefully we're only a couple weeks away, but you know, we're there. All the hard stuff's over. We've got the permit in hand, and he sent in his down payment. That's been sent into accounting. That's not holding it up by any means. So I'll have an update next time as to, or potentially by the next time we meet, the sign could be installed. And so if I have dates on that, and I'm thinking about getting maybe somebody to do a time lapse on the day that they do it, do some video of it, but you know, maybe not. We'll see what we do. Once I get some notification on that, I'll make sure everybody knows. Joy left us. She ran away. It's an empty chair. Where'd you go? So as far as the front projection sign installation schedule goes, I'll keep you updated. We have the permit. And like I said, things are in fabrication. That is everything for item number 2, unless people have questions. Okay, hearing none, I'll move on. The next item that I have on the agenda is building maintenance. And so some things have happened, no particular order here. I have John O'Brien pictures and tile modifications. The tile modifications is our standing item since the bathroom project was basically abandoned last time. We have some open tile issues, not significant enough that they've risen to the top of figuring out yet, but that's a placeholder. John O'Brien pictures. John O'Brien, I'm sure people are familiar with him from our previous show. He's a participant in this show. And so what he did is he actually printed some Welcome to Wakefield sign pictures. Okay, and we've got those up in the bathroom. And he's printing up some other pictures, and we're going to have those just for art in the bathroom to start off. So we've got Welcome to Wakefield sign pictures in the bathroom. We've got 2 more spots in each bathroom. He's going to print up some other photos. We'll get those in there, and then we'll at least have a base set up of some photos in there, and we'll figure out a rotation schedule at some point. So that's so the bathroom. Like I said, the tile thing is just a placeholder till we get to the fixing of it. The John O'Brien pictures are up. The other issue was the alarm system. We called it in several times. It was beeping. Somebody checked it, cleaned everything up, came back. It was beeping again. And it was very intermittent, which is really a hard thing because you can't predict it. And intermittent problems are some of the hardest. But we did get the alarm company down there after 2 or 3 service calls. Like the first time DPW cleaned everything. The second time they tried to chase things down and the alarm company guy was supposed to come and then he blew them off. And then the third time, I guess, was the charm. I talked to Joe Conway and he told me, because, basically it was fixed. So it wasn't beeping. So there was really no reason to talk to them except for the fact that obviously I want to know what happened. Did it just by accident not, beep or whatever? So Joe told me that it was traced to a bad strobe light and heat detector in our alarm system. I think some of that was over our bathroom. So I guess there's heat detectors and strobe lights, I guess. I think the strobe light's part of the alarm, maybe, like when the alarm goes off, it blips.
And yeah.
So either way, the alarm was traced to a bad strobe light and a heat detector. Both were replaced and it hasn't been making any noise. I think one time I heard a beep. I imagine it'll break again. But for now, it seems to be fixed. So that's item number 3, building maintenance. Anybody have any questions on that? Comments? Okay. Number 4, the rear door project, or actually we're starting to call this now the Chestnut Street accessible entrance, I think is the name that it's evolved to that. We had put that on hold due to funding. Last meeting, and I think that the project is basically still on hold because of cost overruns. We had an initial cost estimate of around $50,000, which if we made some compromises in our master schedule would have been attainable. We had $20,000 to $30,000 in cost overruns projected as of last meeting, which is what put the brakes on this project for now because it really took our finances out of whack. From just the level-headed, planned approach that we want. And there's a lot more to it. Specifically, the stuff had to do with a lot of drainage issues. And there's some other open issues. The good news is because of our presentation to the town council and in other places and attention that's come to this, I have a lot more people talking to us about funding, especially since we have cost overrides, everybody from the Disabilities Commission to the new state representative who took over for Paul Broder had sent me an email talking about that. We've had some other conversations with town council type folks. So everyone's aware that we have this. And I guess the exciting part about that and the part that's really positive, except for the fact that it's over budget and it's going to take a little bit longer, is that we have a significant portion of the engineering done. There are still some challenges in the engineering, specifically in the area of drainage. But what I was commissioned to do last time that we talked about this, because we've talked about it in a meeting and personally amongst us all individually, the big thing was we had projected cost overruns. And so we wanted to get actual cost estimate overruns, so to speak, a little more official than just projecting. And those have come out basically in the range of our projection. So I have a cost estimate. We sent it back out to a professional cost estimator who determined that right now the project sits at $70,000 plus or minus a certain amount of percentage points, more than likely plus in that case. And what this really tells us is that we were right, that it was going to be at least 70,000. But when you look into that cost estimate, it's also, I don't know if I want to use the term flawed, but I'm going to, a flawed cost estimate because there are some allocations made for some drainage. And, honestly, we did a lot of communication with the DPW and the town engineer. And I'll say that we did a lot of communication because they haven't done a lot of communication with us. But I had a meeting with the town administrator, lots of promises to go through and look at our estimates and all this stuff, make sure that we're on track. And then followed up with the town engineer. Haven't heard much back from him. Unfortunately, we followed up with him week to week to week, and it's been about 6 or 7 weeks. So not the best response, but what we do know is that the bill has gone up to at least $70,000. And some of the holes in the response were specifically, we were asking questions about drainage catch basins and where things were on Chestnut Street. And, after getting some non-response, I did a little, email bullying, reply all of like, hey, what's going on here? And we got some responses to basically, just some websites that were just not helpful. And the net of it was that that hole that exists is probably bigger than, than we know about, because there's engineering and stuff that we just don't know. So we have, solid 70,000 projection. I paid an architecture bill this week of about $3,400, which is totally in line and probably a pretty good deal for what we had. And I think even discounted due to some of the stuff that were a little bit bumbly that we didn't like, the elevation stuff that got missed. I think some of the bill might have disappeared for that, but I thought it was a very reasonable bill given the amount of work. So when you add that in, we're at, 74, because, that's a part of the cost there. So what we've learned is that it still needs more research. It still needs more engineering. We need more time on that. It's going to be a complicated project because it has a lot of elevation stuff. It has drainage stuff. There's a lot of trades in there. It's similar to the bathroom, and the way that I can relate it, and we're going to talk about some other projects, is just that they have this thing called a project manual that goes out with it when it goes out to bid. And the project manual is like super thick because there's the door, there's the elevation, there's the pavers, there's the drainage. All of these things get described in excessive detail, so that we don't mess it up. So it's a super big project. It needs more research. We have people coming to us that are very aware of it and that they're looking to do funding. The project, unless somebody takes it off hold, is still on hold. Projected, like I said, we're probably easily dancing around 80,000, 85. We've got verified 70 plus 3,000 into it, plus there's holes in the estimate. That's about where it's at. So things we already know. The good news is the engineering's done, and this project, at this point, is on hold for a variety of reasons. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about the rear.
No, there's not. Let's move on.
All right. So unless anybody has questions, on the rear door estimates or any of that stuff, I'm ready to move on. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So moving forward to the next item is it's listed as Connor Design. That's our new architect, Ryan Connor. Joy met him yesterday. He was over to do some additional follow-up work, and he put together some maps of the floor, and we went over a suggested color palette yesterday and looked at some things, and I sent that out to everybody with essentially the recommended color palette, and we didn't, unless somebody has a serious problem with it. I think it's in line with a lot of what we've talked about. And so we thought that, there's sort of an option there, if you look at it, to add in the alternate wood plank color, which was more of the brown. Don't necessarily think that's the way to go, but wanted to just say that it's not a done deal, but that's sort of one of the option areas. So if you look at the color palette, there's a dark gray square. That's what they call a walk-off mat. That's right when you walk in the door, similar to what we have. And then you see there's a darker gray, and they were square tiles, kind of looked like concrete. That would be the front foyer. And then there's the wood plank that is like a Cape Cod style, sort of a light gray, long plank, medium green. And that would be the main gallery, and that would be the feature floor. And so the idea is that you have a definition of space. So if you've looked at the thing that I sent out, this one here, the square, when you come in, that's the walk-off cocoa mat, they call it. The main foyer is what we have with the sort of stone-looking square, concrete-ish blocks, and then the wood grain, medium gray, is what is recommended for the main gallery. We've got all the floors here. There's a little bit of variation in here in that we're talking about putting this tonight, about putting this forward into the bid package. We didn't include the back maintenance room where the chairs are. It didn't seem to be reasonable. If we wanted to do that in the future, we always could. The particular materials that we're using are called LVT, which sounds a lot more fancy than it is. It's luxury vinyl tile. It was just the next step up of vinyl tile. And the reason that you use the materials is because they're cost effective, they're slip resistant, and they're consistent in pattern. They're the architect was talking to us about them. They're actually photographs of sort of wood planks on them. And Joy's got her hand raised.
I do, because I just want to say that I opened the attachment with the photo
Uh-huh.
for there. We did leave them there on the table, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the photo kind of washes out what you guys are looking at. And so if you're really interested to take a peek, we left them on the table right in there. And I think you guys both, you had the keys
Yep.
that you can go in and see it, because from the photo that I'm looking at, that long plank doesn't really look like the color it is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm just going to say, before you judge, if you have a strong opinion one way or another, before you actually judge it, you might want to just pop in and see it. Because the photo that I'm looking at doesn't do it, I don't think does it justice.
Okay. Donna?
I'm gonna say, Joy, if you've seen it and Chris has seen it, I trust your judgment. I've been to Home Depot with you guys, so I know you're perfect with color. So it looked fine to me, even in the photograph, and I think it's the colors we talked about before, so
Yep.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go look at it, but I'm fine with it too. Is the square tile also LVT?
Yes.
Okay. So I had thought that you guys were a little bit wanted more of a darker floor.
And that's why I said go look at it, because that large plank in the picture
Yeah.
is actually dark.
Oh, okay.
I originally wanted the blonde floor. That was my original, like when this whole thing started, my original vision was a blonde floor. And I've since changed, and that's why I brought up the fact that the photo does not do it justice, because it's more of it's not a dark brown, it's more of like a gray, kind of like the tile we chose for the bathroom. So I think that before you actually said, because when I'm looking at this photo, everything looks kind of washed out. No offense, Chris, your lighting wasn't good.
Sorry.
So let's move on to the lighting.
It's definitely in the same family. Yeah, I think the colors look good, and definitely come and see them. And then the other thing is, tonight at least we're talking about moving this forward to bid package preparation. Once the package goes out, it'll say in the bid package that we want like this specific one or architect accepted substitute. However, so like what we say tonight can be changed. We're putting together lots of paperwork. If for some reason there was a passionate plea that we wanted to change everything and we did something wrong tonight, there's still opportunity for that. So it's not mission critical for tonight. Although I'd say that we're 80-90% sure that's where we're going, unless there's objections.
So Doug, I think you should go look at it, because in the photo it looks blonde and it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely go look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there last night, but I didn't get finished working.
Life happens.
Yeah. Do we know how many, just to be able to get a ballpark pricing? I mean, do we know like how many square feet we'll need of flooring?
Yeah, we're looking at the entire first floor. If you include the bathrooms in the room that we're not doing, is 2,021 square feet. This section here, if you look at the sheet on the bottom, it's 1,538 square foot.
Oh, there it is.
We don't have an official cost estimate. And this project, the flooring project and the lighting project, which we should have probably, I don't know if I took them out of order, because it's we talked about the sequence too. It's also lighting first before flooring, because the lighting project will make a mess of the floor, is the sequence there. But the projected costs on this are on LVT. I think you're looking at 2.5 to 3.5 a square foot, and you're looking at about the same cost to put it in. So I'd say that we're looking in total, probably $6 to $8 a square foot. If you map that out across this, we're looking at like, let's see, like around $9,000, I would think, in flooring materials. Before we start talking about maybe some other materials that might be in there, it's conceivable that, there could be $1. This sits on a I forget what it's called. It's a something, it's like a thing that goes on top of the wood. There's like the wood floor and the subfloor. And then there's kind of like a vapor barrier laminate thingy that's underneath that. I don't know if that's included in the 2.5 to 3.5 material cost, but the subflooring sort of vapor barrier thing, if you know what I mean, that might be $1 a square, which, you know, that would be like 1,500 plus then you add that in there. So it's, you know, not unreasonable. The floor, you know, they'd rip up the carpet and then they basically would make sure the subfloor was flat, level, and as not squeaky as possible before they did that. So yeah, there's like a laminate thing that goes between the wood and then the LVT. So ballpark-ish, I think we talked about this, and then you add in some architect fees because he gets paid a handful of hours to draw out all this stuff. The floor is probably likely going to come in 13 to 15,000. We'll look at our budget and account summary sheet later, but I had projected $20,000 just in round numbers to say what this would cost. I think it's going to come in not well below there, but likely $13,000 to $15,000. If we decide to make some adjustments, if we decide to do the back room, or if something else comes up, you know, like I said, I allocated around 20, but I'm thinking 13 to 15 sounds about right. And I think, Joy, you heard him. We were going over these numbers and I was spitting them at him, and he thought that was right. And I think the variability in our costing structures really comes in the next project, which is the lighting.
Right.
And that because it has to do with electrical stuff, which I can speak to when we get to that item. Donna, do you have any questions?
No?
And I know Joy you got yours answered yesterday, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
Doug, you should go look at it. You're gonna like it.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure I will.
Okay, so that is the flooring project. The next one to review with Connor Design, and then I'll come back and sort of summarize these two, is the lighting project. I sent out a sheet to everybody. The sheet's not fully comprehensive or complete. It's got a little bit of flutter on it if you looked at it. That's this one here with the lighting map. And so basically what this lighting sheet shows is the squares. And the other thing is these are screen grabs off of the big architecture sheet. So like the guide that tells you what, you know, what's an A, what's an E, what's a D, that didn't make this sheet. This is just informational purposes. Obviously in a bid package and stuff like that, everything gets included. This is just a 1-page summary guide. So if you look at the E's, those are 2 foot by 2 foot LEDs. And so that would be a light that would most likely be flush mounted. And it would be flush mounted because we don't know our ceiling materials, and it doesn't seem to make sense to do them as recessed. However, these lights could be recessed, but it just doesn't seem to make sense with this project. So we're looking at flush mounted 2 foot by 2 foot LEDs where we can control the light temperature as well as have dimmers on it. And so that would be for your main flood lighting of the gallery. You see the E's throughout the main gallery, throughout the behind the counter. You see them going down the center there, and sort of the spots by like the bathroom, there's a dark spot. The back corner, there's a dark spot. But that would essentially be one circuit, 2 by 2 LEDs, flush mounted to the ceiling. The way that they would be installed most likely is we would put conduit right on the ceiling. And the reason that we put conduit right on the ceiling is, again, so we don't get in any trouble of any materials that we might not want to discover that are pre-existing. And we can flush mount the lights, and we can flush mount the what's the word there? The wires, and what's the word for that? I just had it. Conduit, that's the stuff. So we can flush mount all that stuff, and it won't be a big deal, because the other thing that happens in this process is we paint the ceiling. And the advice was for like a dark gray. We've been talking black, but as we get more specific, black was, he alluded, was a little clubby.
Deadening.
And what was it?
Deadening.
Deadening. So you said like a dark
Black,
gray.
light, dark gray, whatever. It's just dark.
So the idea is that once it's painted, all the conduit and all the imperfections in the ceiling just
blend in.
disappear.
Yeah.
Looking back on this, and if you look at the D's, those are the track lighting. And so you see the Ds going around the walls. Most likely we'd have them, and we can talk about some of the details a little bit in more specific sense when he gets a final drawing, but likely they'd be on the back walls. They might not be on like the back wall where the back door is, but they could be, and that's a matter of getting into the individual fixtures. You see the various places that they make sense, then you sort of see them going down the center, and the ones that are going down the center can be used to hit the walls, and they can go either direction. So when you're in front of the gift shop, or you're in front of the snack bar, as it's been called, in front of the bathrooms there's one line of track, and it can go towards either wall. But the important part is just basically that there's track lighting, and it's around the edges, and he'll figure out a way to cover it in an effective way. There's a different light listed, and this could change in the back storage room, and those are just LED, just longer ones. They could very well become the E's. So there's nothing really super important except for the fact that we're ripping out the old incandescent lights and putting in LEDs in that room as well. And then when you go towards the front, there's the A's, and those are the things that look like a target. And so in the front foyer, the idea is that there would be 2, potentially 3 pendant lights, and we haven't picked them out, but there would be pendant lights with a large visual appeal. And the idea is that they would light up the room. They would define the space, maybe with like a mother-child relationship with these pendant lights. And also when you drive by, you'll be able to see them, and they'll look really cool. So it'll look sort of like, ooh, look at the gallery. But they have a visual appeal from the street. Again, potentially a parent-child relationship as to be developed as to which lights would be in there. And it would be phrased in such a way that, we get the final materials choice as we put together the bid package. It'd probably be like an allocation, and then we can figure out which ones we want. So you walk in, you've got foyer lights. That's one sort of circuit. You go into the main gallery, you've got the floodlights, which are LEDs, and they're also on dimmers, so we can control them, and we can control the light color and talk about that. And then you've got the track lighting all around the sides, and the lights in the back. Conduit, again, will be exposed, but then painted, so you'd see that. All the current wires going to the stuff to things now would be removed. There is the potential that we may need to do some electrical upgrades, and that would come in the form of like a panel. Anybody who's done this to their house, I've been involved in it a couple times. It's a couple $1,000s. You basically get a panel with enough spots for all your stuff and all your gear. We have a panel in the back room that makes a lot of noise right now, and that's like a line bypass, something or other. I've talked to the town architect, the electrician, about fixing that and calming it down. But I haven't gone beyond that. It's sort of on my list of maybe projects, because as we move this forward, we should get to a point where there's no buzzing, because we'll remove all the lights that are buzzing, and then the electrical box will either be replaced or it'll be rewired so that the buzzing goes down. So it should be fairly silent with the LEDs. And if you read the description, LEDs pay for themselves and they're not unreasonably expensive. But this is sort of the evolution of the lighting plan. We had the lighting designer, I guess is what the person was called the first time, who just kept constantly deferring to get your architect, get your architect, get your architect. And so he's gone through there, and he'll do some of the stuff. But that explains it. There's again, there's the A's, there's the B's, there's the E's, and there's the D's. I don't see any C lights. I don't know what that is. That's a walkthrough on that map. And is there any questions?
It sounds like it's going to be fabulous.
Things we haven't talked about that'll get included in here are like controls. There'll be a certain amount of controls that get put in with these lights as the light selection process gets there. Where the light switch is going to go, we can talk about that. That's not end of the world kind of stuff. There's also the architect's what?
Dimmer switches and all of that, I would assume.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The controls, as they say. So we'll figure out all that. Other things that are included in there are so this complies with the Mass State Energy Code, which I guess is a thing for buildings. So that makes us eco-compliant with the Mass State Energy Code, which is I don't know, it's somewhere between. It's not a super big deal, but it's a pretty big deal to be energy compliant and to look out. And it sort of defers to we're making the statement that obviously we want new lights, but but being environmentally friendly is not a bad win as well.
Right. We want to be green,
Yeah, exactly.
a green
And,
building as much as we can, right?
well, I think it's going to change the atmosphere quite a bit, because as we dial into things like what's the lighting temperature, what what color is the light, and all that sort of stuff, and being able
Right.
to like turn down the main lights and just have the walls lit,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. It's gonna add some really cool dimensions. So that's the lighting plan there. So it's the eco stuff. The other thing that's involved in there is so it's eco-friendly. We got the lighting and the panel stuff. So I believe, is there anything else in here? Oh, the exit lights will be LEDs, which is like part of the state energy code. So like right now when all the lights are off, you can kind of see an exit light, but you'll be able to see the exit lights, which is also something that will come on there. And potentially if we, even though it's separate from the Chestnut Street accessible entrance, if we upgrade the panel, we'll also make sure that it has adequate supply for automatic doors, which we may have in the future. So that's that. So where we're at with this is, did everybody get the budget sheet I sent through?
Mhm.
So what this budget sheet is first of all, it's just sort of, a statement as to, where we're at. We're not just digging into our big pile of money that we have and doing it all willy-nilly. This is somewhere between a budget sheet, a cost projection sheet, sort of like a cash flow sheet, and a balance sheet of our accounts. So if you look towards the top, it's got all our account information as to just sort of what we have, including some edits and credits and that sort of thing. Some of the bills that we've recently paid. We had close to $2,000 in just getting the place set back up, and that includes gallery hanging system stuff and some other stuff, and our new vacuum. Just paid that architect bill of $32.33, put in the deposit from the savings bank, put in the projection bracket sign, which we approved months ago, and that's there. We anticipate a small expense report in the next month or so, nothing crazy, probably in the hundreds of dollars range. And then down below that, you have current projects and budgets, where I estimated that both of these projects are in the ballpark of $20,000 on the high side. The lighting one might come closer to that versus the floor one. Very variable, but these are definitely high estimates on this, and we don't expect it to really go further than that. And then that leaves us, I dropped us down, leaving us a sort of a quote unquote operating budget, so that we can start sort of acting as an independent entity, with a P&L kind of thing as we go through. Not that we expect to have a lot of profit, but just so that we don't spend ourselves poor. We don't want to sign all our money away. As we go to do projects and do different things, every time we need to hire an architect and have him draw something or do a code study, that's $150 an hour or something for a code report. And so, we need to have some amount of thousands in the bank to just be able to project out and do studies for things that we have coming up. So that's all the stuff in the yellow is basically our projected budgets. And then alternative funding needs is the Chestnut Street entrance, have just where it extended with cost estimates and that sort of stuff. And if you have the most recent sheet, it also has stuff with the elevator and just things that, throw us way deep in the red. And it's not, we're not worried about that. It's just, again, showing this as a complete picture of, where we came from, where we're at, and where we're going. So we've deferred the Chestnut Street entrance, and we've gone through here. We've got these other two. So we have the money to do these projects by a large shot. And then the most significant part of, explaining all this is great. Everybody wants to know what's going on. But the big picture item here that's important is, and that I reviewed with our new architect and with Mike, our old architect, or our two current architects, is the concept of master planning. So this sheet is our master plan of like, hey, what are we doing? And we talk about this off and on over time, like, hey, should we take a step back? Hey, should we do this? Hey, should we do that? This is our master plan. This is, where our steps forward and backward are currently at. And what it was indicated was that we need to do these interior things before we worry about accessible entrances, because, if we spend all our money and blew all our money, which is a foolish thing to do because we need money to operate and move and hire people. But if we did do that, we'd have them coming into a gallery that had safety issues and lighting issues. So we get the wheelchair in there, but there's sharp edges and they're bumping all over stuff, and it's hard to manipulate around. Or they get in there and it's dark. So the idea was take care of the inside before you worry about going outside. These are high value items for short money. These are barely biddable projects, between $10,000 and $20,000. I mean, we're just kind of over the limit. And we talked about, as we put these together and put together, the bid set, just the idea that some of the details on the bid set will actually just go straight on the sheet, like how to wire things, things that are fairly obvious and can save some money for various things. It's a barely biddable project. It doesn't mean it's insignificant. It just means that it's not super high dollar, but super high return. So I just sort of want to make sure that everybody's comfortable. And does everybody understand sort of what this financial document is and what it represents, and about where we came from, where we're at, and what we've allocated? Meaning we've allocated in pencil, 2020. We've deferred the other one to seek more funding on that, and then we have somewhat of an operating budget. So I'll just say, is everybody okay with that? Just everybody give me a yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I only have one question. Does that value, the carry forward, is that what the value that the town has said that we have in the account?
The carry forward number is, yes. I audited the account last year when like last May or so, at the end of our bathroom project, when we discovered the discrepancy of the 26,466, when we found out that the incorrect maintenance charge was made to our account, and I brought that to their attention, and I said, hey, so the carry forward number is from Kevin Gill, who's the town accountant who manages all our money. And he sent me a spreadsheet that had that number, and he said, hey, does this look right? I said, no, it looks like it's about 30 grand off. And we went through the whole thing, and then Kathy had a meeting with them, and lots of emails and whatnot. And we have in writing that, yes, indeed, 26. It doesn't actually say the amount; it just says the heating system. But the heating system bill was $26,466. Indeed, that was done in error, and we can expect to spend that money. The money isn't actually going back into our account. It's listed as a credit we have with the DPW. One might say that it's very prudent to spend that money this fiscal year, because that deal was sort of negotiated this fiscal year, and the town books close at the end of June, as they do every year. So we have that agreement. There's nothing to say that it's valid, invalid, or whatnot, but these two projects that we have coming up will likely eat into our credit before they get charged to our account. Or at least that might not be the way that it works out, but I'll make sure that I lobby to make sure that our accounts are in check. And if it's not done that way, we'll create a new agreement as to where our money is.
How to do
But this
it.
is our money.
Just want to make sure that the value lined up, that we weren't working off an assumption.
No, these are not imaginary numbers. These are verified. The 60,000 pulled forward is verified from Kevin Gill, the town accountant. The 26,466 is verified from a letter we got as a result of Kathy going and having the meetings about the incorrect charging.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just
Yeah.
we don't.
And and we have enough. I wouldn't say fluff range, but I don't need to be like super specific within a couple $100. I mean, we can go back and retable this, but we're pretty close to almost 100% right.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's good.
And that's part of the reason of why bringing this forward, is because it's always been like, well, how much money do we have? And it's sort of been this big pile, and we knew that we had plenty of money. And then when I did the audit, it was really just because, I had it in my head, and I was off by a little, but only by like a handful of thousands of dollars. And then I realized what they were for. But the big numbers were a big one, and we got that fixed.
Good.
So everybody's agreed that as far as our master planning goes, I call it a master planning realignment, because we had talked about these ideas in principle of doing the interior. We had talked about doing the other project in principle, and we had agreed on certain numbers. And this is a realignment, saying that the other project is now deferred for a while, and we're going to seek alternative funding for that. This is where our budgets lie and where we want to keep our money. And we're going to then take these two projects, and this is something else I just want everyone to say yes on. You're basically saying that it's okay for me to move this forward with the DPW and ask them to meet with Ryan, our new architect, to prepare the bid packages.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I already wrote the email because I assumed this is what we were going to do. And now that we've made this decision and voted on it, there's an email that will go out to the director of the DPW as well as the business manager, and we'll copy, our some of our friends in town council, who we've discussed this with as well during their visits of just, here's where our budgets are. And we've this concept, which we're formalizing it tonight because we're all together, but we've sort of loosely talked about it together, and we've gotten feedback from several other entities to make sure that everybody thinks that this makes sense. So we have now officially realigned our master plan to include the flooring and the lighting projects before we seek additional projects at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
So let's see. We talked about that. We talked about all right. So then we're gonna. All right. So that covers all the construction stuff. I don't know if you have anything to say about the website stuff, Doug. I just sort of been putting it on there. Now that we have a new website, which is awesome, by the way, because every once in a while I go look at it, and our website kind of stunk for a while. So I go look at it, and I'm just like, wow, it's fresh and clean. Look at that.
It's
so
back.
pretty. I sent you an email today. I got some random thing that looked like a bill for $3 or something. I didn't know if that was the certificate needing to be renewed or if it was just spam that somehow got through because they read a cookie that knows that we're on AWS. But
It's probably the fact that we're over our free tier usage, maybe. So I'll have to check on that.
it was like $3.16. I mean, it was a total nothing bill, but it could have been a phishing thing. But it did come in on our ACE account. Anyways, I sent it to you. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, it just goes on my credit card. It'll be fine.
There it is. Expensive. Add a round of drinks to that, would you? Unless anybody has any questions, I don't know that Doug has anything to present on this. I'm just sort of bringing up website stuff. We've got a new site layout. We've got everything on there. We've made some adjustments. People seem to be figuring out where the dates are. I've added dates for for our current show, which I'll talk about here in a sec. And Kathy's not here tonight, and I know that she's still working on the sign up stuff with the library. Not super high priority, but she's digging into it, as time allows. And it doesn't matter because we're not hurt by not having that at this point, anyways. So that covers item 6, item 7, item 8, current event reviews, which would basically be the new beginning show. The show's open. It's looking good. I've been down there a ton, like almost pretty much every day. We've got speakers in there. We've got music in there. It sounds good. Thanks to Doug's work and getting all the hanging systems up. We've got those pretty much full. John O'Brien also added photos to the front right when you walk in. There's 3 big photos. One's of the hiker, one's of the church that burned down, and one's of the gazebo. Very iconic Wakefield photos, very big. It's sort of something sort of new. He added those in there. He was excited to do it. So that's up there. The Garden Club put their exhibit in there. I got in trouble with my mother because I told her that it needed to be redone and upgraded because it wasn't happy enough. And then we came back and we happied it. We did the yellow thing and put in some purple flowers. And that's sort of the thing that I noticed just about this show and just maybe about how it goes moving forward is there's sort of different phases. There's the, hey, I want to participate phase with different people. Then it's the, hey, get your stuff here phase. Then they get their stuff there. Then it's the, hey, slap it on a wall phase. And then it's the leave for a while and come back and redo it because the first version usually isn't what you want. And the Garden Club thing fell into that same deal. We got down there, got everything set up, did it, and then had time to think about it. And then it's been updated. It looks great. Remedy Exchange has a thing up there. Their angle is New Beginnings and in health, and their stuff looks good. People are happy to get their coupons. So that's a big deal and a value for people that actually show up. Lots of groups in there. Just you can see the dates and roughly who was booked at different times. But 3 to 5 days a week since we've opened, I've been down there. Aside from when I was out of town. everybody that's coming is happy and is excited to be there. They're like glad to be out of their house and you know, glad to get a coupon and all that kind of stuff. So it's going well. People that
And
we
can I just say compliments to Joy? Your display is awesome. It's beautiful in there.
Thank you very much.
I think,
You're
yeah,
welcome.
everybody's stuff in there is
It's
really
such a range of talent you have, and you know, everybody's exhibit is so they sort of all blend together without clashing, but they're all like so unique, and each artist, I mean, you can really see the artist's difference. I mean,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It really, I was impressed by all of it. So, but yours in
Yeah.
particular, Joy, is great when you walk into that room because it's
Yeah, thank you very much.
it's great.
Great.
Joy's got her own studio within the
Right? I
studio.
took it over.
Good. You
And
just-
I hid all that stuff behind those
She
boards.
deserves her own gallery.
Exactly.
And then the other cool thing was too, just doing the board. I mean, lots of people pitched in. You did that board over the snack bar area, or whatever. And so we made a new viewing wall. That was good. My girlfriend
Right?
picked out the
That was good. That was good.
it
I
opened
was
up.
gonna
opened
hang up a
space.
4x8 sheet of plywood, and then I just ended up hanging up a piece of foam core all by myself.
It looks great. It really does.
Yeah.
We took down that shelf, and my girlfriend actually sanded and painted the wall on that shelf, so that opened up that side where the food used to go. And as these floors go forward, that other little piece of that little island thing will go away. So we're heading in a good direction. Notable visits. We had Ann Santos, town council chair, in yesterday. And we went over lots of stuff with her, you know, showed her the art show, talked to her about what we're doing, talked to her about all the things that we talked about tonight. You know, just got buy-in basically for, you know, hey, this is how we're doing it. Are we missing anything? And she seemed excited for us and on board and willing to help us with it, whatever we need. We also had town councilor Maureen Butt and Julie Galvin in last week, and same sort of deal. We talked to them, we showed them project info and just where we're sort of sailing the ship and different things that are going on. And so that was good. We've got Jonathan Shines is coming this weekend. He's not here tonight. State Representative Kate Lipper
Garabedian.
She's going to be there Saturday at 1. And then Jonathan's there at 3. Dan Lieber reserved a spot on Sunday. Somebody else reserved a spot Sunday morning before Dan, and then I think someone's coming in after him. So tomorrow night and Friday night are technically open with nobody booked, but that could change. But Saturday, Sunday, and I think Monday are booked, and then I'm taking off for a week to go down to Florida to a garden tour. So I didn't schedule any dates for the show, but I scheduled them for when I get back on the 16th. So there'll be a 6 or 7 day sort of pause in the action, which is okay. And then we come back. What was the other thing? Yeah, so you got that. The item. Then the other thing is press release went out to the item. I believe I sent that out to everybody. That's also the basic version of it sitting on our website. I sent it over to the savings bank since they're mentioned in there. And then I talked to the item. I negotiated with them to do several articles about the show. So I gave them the press release. They assigned Gail Lowe to work on articles for the show. The first article, if it might have been published tonight, but I think it's coming out this week. And it has Eric and John featured. And so we sent out questions to all the participants. There's like 8 questions. And so we got those John and Eric's questions back first. And so we went through it.
I worked on mine today, okay?
But it's really cool. There's a good story being told here with the item. And what I said to the item in the newsroom and Bob Burgess and Mark and stuff before we got Gail was just that, you know, we do our press releases, but now that we're doing things and we're opening up for several months at a time, that we want supporting articles. And I want him to, you know, not focus on, you know, me or whoever did the show or us. and just, focus on the people that are in the show. And then with the idea that, hey, if you want to see more of this, you can come to our show, which is going on for a bunch of months. And so like, there's a lot of talk about like, if you know Eric Escadel's story, he was a truck driver for a while, and he drove around the country, and that's where he got his landscape idea, and his mother landscape ideas, and his mother was an art teacher in Arlington, and all kinds of interesting tidbits about him, and then interesting tidbits about John and his dad, and he's a local guy and a firefighter, so it makes for interesting fodder for the local paper. And then we're gonna group Joy with somebody, and the other four, and we'll have those articles there. So the first article's ready to go. The press release has gone out. Next, there's one coming out. And then like a week or two later, another one, and another one. So we've got support. And when I was talking to the item, I said, hey, for this show, but I said in general, moving forward, we see you as a media partner. So we want to be, tuned up with, as we're doing stuff, not just running the press release, doing stuff that's more consistent, arts focused. And a cool thing that's, maybe came out of that, maybe didn't, was there was an editorial in the item, and I don't know if you saw it, that just basically said that, what we're doing is important, and that the time is now for, I forget how they worded it, but it basically just said the show must go on, something like that. And that it was good that we're doing this, and that, getting people out, and that art's important, and, and basically they like us, so.
How could they not?
Yeah, right. So does anybody have any questions about the current show? Okay.
No, it's a great idea.
Thanks. So it seems to be going well, and it'll continue going well. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on this week, and then there'll be a little bit of a pause and more stuff and more media, and invite people to go and tell them to just go to our website. All the instructions on how to schedule your thing is on there, so they don't need to have it handheld through you. So you tell everybody, and then when they say, oh yeah, when should I go, and try to schedule with you, say, go to the website. I'm not in charge of that. Just go there and figure it out, and Chris will figure it out, and he'll get you in there, and we'll do that. So that's number 8, future events. Number 9, that's number 8, current events. Number 9, future events, also has to do with anticipated schedule based on the construction we talked about. And this is just some stuff that I threw out there, which was, review, next ideas. When are we going to do this and that? And really the next big thing that sort of has legs is Joy students.
AP art show in May.
AP art show, and then maybe the JVs, maybe not.
Maybe the JV, yeah.
And I don't know if you're going to go extra big, since this is I don't know if this is
Last
your
hurrah.
But, are we going to have those events next year, or do we not know?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one there.
So this future events thing was just the idea of sketching out events over the 3-ish, 4-ish month period like we've done now, which I think is a pretty comfortable thing, because now that it's been set up, I got to go home and just blow it off for a while and then come back. And it's refreshing when you come back. But the realistic time frame, if everything goes the way that we want it to, is this show will end at the end of April or so. And I just say or so. It doesn't mean that we won't show it through May. We'll just find out from Joy when's the next transition time, and we'll move people around. And we'll do the high school stuff, and however that comes out. And then when that's done, that's about the amount of time that the bid process needs to go out. So if we get our stuff out to bid for these 2 other projects, and we get the bids in, we should be able to schedule people in June and July and August. That should be about the time. And if we do it right, we'll finish this show. Joy will do the students, and then we'll pack everything up, so to speak, or lock it all down, cover it all up, and we'll have people come in, and they'll do our ceilings, and they'll change our lights, and they'll change our floors, and it'll be a big giant mess for a couple months, and we'll clean it up again. And then, sort of towards the end of the summer, hopefully maybe by August, we'll clean everything up, and we'll figure out, what we're going to do in the fall.
When life gets back to normal.
And at that time, life should be, back to normal. People should be vaccinated. But even if it was the same as it is now, we'll just figure out what the next show is.
Something, right?
Something will be in there, and it'll be open, and we'll assign somebody to, and we'll give people the opportunity to go there. Again, I put down all this scribble under number 9, but these are just, projecting out, October to December, January to April, April to June, what it could look like in the future. Let me see here. I did do a. I'm gonna do a share screen, I think. Hang on. Share screen. And all right, so we're gonna go to Chrome. Let me
So
go-
while he's doing that, I'm retiring in June. I don't know if you guys knew that. So that's what he was alluding to when he said,
Well, congratulations.
thank you very much.
Congratulations.
So what's it going to be like next year? Who the heck knows? But that's what he was alluding to with like in
It's somebody else's problem next year.
oh, but the connection is there and the want to display is runs deep. So that shouldn't be an issue at all. Yeah.
So can you see the screen share I did there?
No,
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm working on a presentation to sort of update, but basically, this is just everything we talked about, our gallery show, our floor and lighting specifications, January to March, what's going on in March, which would be floor and lighting projects, hopefully out to bid by the end, front projection sign installation, May and June, gallery show for Wakefield High School, and then June and July, hopefully floor and lighting installation. So this is just a visual version of what we've already talked about. I don't know if that helps anybody.
Did they tell you how long? Did they predict a couple of months to do the flooring and the lighting?
They definitely don't give you estimates like that.
Well, at ballpark.
These projects
Nothing.
are a couple day projects. You know, I mean, the flooring can be done in, I would say, a day or two. We
Okay,
basically
yeah.
get everything out of the way. They do the subfloor, and then the flooring
Right,
can be
that's
done
what-
in a day.
So 2 months is plenty of time.
Oh yeah,
Should be.
yeah. The hard part about that is getting the bid package together. That
Right,
takes a couple
right.
weeks, and then getting it out to bid, and then
Right.
collecting the bids and selecting
Right.
the bid, and then when you
But
select
that
the
all
bid-
happens prior to.
right. So it's March now.
Right.
So if we got it out to bid by the end of March, there'd be a 60-day bid period, which would be April and May. We would have our estimates, or we would have our bids to open up at the beginning of June. We could select a winner within a day, because I mean they just open it
Right.
up and basically it goes to the cheapest person who can match, who's qualified, who can match it, and then you
Right.
start into a scheduling conversation. So the ceilings, the ceilings again, that they say that's the messier of the two, but that's it's a
Yes.
couple days work. It's not like the bathrooms, which are months of work.
Right, but
the
so like
manual
I
for
said,
this-
it's a realistic schedule.
Yeah, well, assuming we get our stuff out to bid, and we talked to
Right.
various supporting people when we were just lobbying and communicating our plan, that the biggest encumbrance to this is just getting the bid document out there and getting it finished. If we sleep
Right.
on it for a couple of weeks, it pushes us out automatically. So we're hoping not to do that. We're hoping to get that out this month.
Good.
So that's future events. Nothing really else to talk about there that matters tonight. Number 10 is really not even something that to talk about tonight, because there's just too much other stuff going on. But we want to do these artist challenges coming up, and looking forward to that. I haven't had any time to think about it lately, but I've got it on our schedule. One of the things that maybe I'll bring up next meeting is, I think once our sign is installed, a good artist challenge might be the draw the building one, where we put out the challenge and we say, all right, here's a couple prizes, and I can dig those up. Draw a picture of our building now that we have a sign. Do it in whatever medium you like, watercolors, oil, whatever, clay. I don't care how you do it, but we can talk about that at a future time when we have something there. We also had talked about challenges involving various sections of town and stuff like that. But if we get our lighting and flooring and all that stuff in, we'll have more time for non-construction talk at other meetings where we can do cool stuff, because we'll have a place to display it. We were shut down and all these other things. So so I'm just going to call that, unless somebody has something to say on number 10, the artist challenge. And I wrote down that maybe we'll make that into a work group of somebody who does challenges, because we could continually do challenges going up, like every quarter or every 6 months we could have some sort of artist challenge, and then the result of the artist challenge is a show or a display for a certain
Right.
period of time. Does anybody else have anything else to say on number 10? Okay, going to number 11, committee reappointments and recommendations. So committee reappointments, we got our stuff in. Only one thing was Doug's stuff came in a day late. Bad Doug. So Sherry just sent me all this
You're
stuff.
out.
Well, I mean,
I tried.
you know, this is new for them. And they say, oh, it's always been this way. And no, this is a new thing for them. And honestly, they didn't send a reminder. You know, if you really want to get, you know, first of all, we don't have a limit as to how many people we can have. So like if you were talking about like the finance committee or something like that, you missed the date, you're out. Forget it. You know what I mean? That stuff's in the town charter. It's very hardwired. We don't have a limit of people, and they can appoint anybody that they want to. So I immediately contacted Doug, and I immediately contacted Sherry and said, listen, Doug's stuff was supposed to be there. You know, likely a clerical error. You know, he had it all ready to go. He probably just didn't hit send. This is basically the story. And she said, okay. And he sent her the stuff, you know, it was due, I don't know, midnight on a Friday night. He sent it to her by 10 or 11 a.m. the next day. So it's not, you know, not really late by any substantial thing. Hopefully it was just going to be, she was like, yeah, fine, I got it. But she said, no, you have to, so we write a recommendation letter, which is part of the process for all the people that we want. And she said, include in the recommendation letter those facts, you know, that it came in the next day and that, you know, you apologize. I was hoping she could just accept it in and call it there, but whatever.
No, she doesn't do that.
So we're going to, you know, so we're going to say that. So the committee, so I'm going to write a letter unless somebody wants to look at it. I'm just going to write it and send it in. And basically we can send in a recommendation letter. And the letter is going to say that we want Doug, we want Kathy. It's going to be weird. I'll have to figure out how to write it with, you know, me. And they said, you know, put in a line or two about everybody about like, you know, why you want them. And then the other two are Tracy Shea and Anne-Marie Gallivan. Everybody knows Anne-Marie, I'm pretty sure. And then the idea is hopefully she'll do some teaching and stuff back when we can do that kind of stuff. Obviously she's on display in the current show and she's done tons of shows with us. So there's lots of reasons to have her on our committee. And Tracy Shea has been a student of Anne-Marie's, is a friend of mine, from Wakefield person. She's participated in many of our events. She's taken many of our classes. She's a local mom and she's offering her time. And she wants to be a part of our stuff, and she paints and does stuff and is completely excited about it. And so those are the type of people that we want, especially the ones that will show up, so it sounds like she'll be there. So I'll write a recommendation letter that just basically says that we want Tracy, we want Anne-Marie, we want Doug, we hopefully want me, and we want Kathy. That should cover it. And they'll just do their thing in April. They'll read our letter. I don't really foresee any problems. Everyone will get appointed. We might have a couple more faces on here, but we'll definitely have a couple more hands to do things. And that's really it. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or otherwise regarding committee reappointments and or a recommendation letter that I'll write on behalf of the committee?
Nope.
All right. Well, does anybody have anything else? Any unanticipated topics? Anything you want to talk about? Can anybody juggle or do funny things in front of their camera? All right. So that brings us to number 3. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
All right. I'll second, third, and fourth, and everyone raise their hand. And Doug, you didn't raise your hand.
I raised my hand.
All right. All right. So the meeting is officially closed, and now we can have social banter if you want, or we can take it back.
So I was just going to say, Doug, it's well worth it for you to go and check it out, the samples, because they didn't look like what it's more along the lines of where I think that you wanted to go. I think you're going to really like them, but the photograph kind of washed them out a little bit. So
it happens, especially in everyone's monitor is different too. So no matter what,
yeah,
it's like,
and especially because I originally thought that I wanted the blonde floor, and I changed my mind. And then the architect had the big square tiles that kind of look like faux concrete, and they look really cool. So you should. The picture didn't do it justice. So
Yeah, I mean, I like to hear that it looks kind of like concrete, because that was my thinking before, is that if there was concrete under there, we could just go with like polished concrete, stained and polished concrete. But
Right,
unfortunately,
right.
there isn't. But yeah, so I mean, I think that look looks good in the gallery. The
Yeah.
concrete type of.
The tiles on that are square too, versus being a long plank. So the other one has wood grain and it's a long plank, but the shape's different.
Yeah.
But
So
they're
that's
complementary.
that's what I want you to go look at it because it's well worth it.
Yeah, I will definitely go check that out. Absolutely. And I'm very excited about the flooring and the lighting. I think that, as you said, is just going to transform the space. It's going to make a huge difference. So
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
exciting.
I think so. All right, I'm gonna go, you guys. I've been zoomed out today.
Yeah, I hear you. Same here.
Anybody has anything,
Chris,
feel
for
free to
all the
contact
stuff
me.
that you've done.
Thanks.